Hi, I'm Chris Vinnicombe and this is episode 3 of The Gear Show from the makers of Guitarist, Total Guitar and Guitar Techniques magazines and MusicRadar.com. This month we've got hot new gear from PRS, Korg, Supro and Ibanez. We've got an exclusive acoustic performance from Chuck Ragan. We go in-store with GAK in Brighton and check out Richie Kotzen's live room. First, here's Joe Bonamassa with his Les Paul setup tips and a very special Les Paul indeed.
Hi, this is Joe Bonamassa, and welcome to Total Guitars, Me and My Guitar. Well, in this case, it's me and Bernie Marsden's guitar, who's nice enough to loan me his lovely 59 Les Paul, serial number 91914, the legendary guitar that is the Beast. The last time this was on stage, Bernie was nice enough to loan it to me, so it's got my setup and my strings on it for this demonstration. One of the most commonly asked questions I get from guitar players, other guitar players, is who does your setups? How do you set up a Les Paul the way you like it? And the answer is me. We string them with a top wrap. So these are Ernie Ball 11 to 52s. So it's a pretty heavy string. I believe it's one of the, I think the same gauge as Paul Kossoff used, and it's a big string. So in order to make the guitar feel a little bit slinkier and not so difficult to play, we borrow the technique invented by Jimmy Page and Billy Gibbons, which you top wrap over the stud, which lessens the angle over the bridge, so it gets a much nicer, slinkier feel, but it also retains the big heaviness of the strings, so when you hit hard, you're not playing out of tune. The action, that's something that everybody has to adjust themselves to taste. Some people like it right on the fret, some people like it a mile high. I like it just before the string goes under my ring finger. So it's pretty high, but it's not super high like a slide guitar player would want. And simply you just adjust these two thumb wheels, and intonation-wise, I'm a firm believer, if it's not broke, don't fix it. There's no such thing as a perfectly intonating guitar, and if there is, it would sound very sterile. Part of it, you want to get it close. You want to make sure that your A here, 440, is the same as your A here, 440. And if you can get it close, I can assure you, no one will hear the difference at your gigs or in the studio. You just want to make sure the guitar plays in tune and the guitar is properly restrung regularly. And you know, one of the most common things that makes a guitar go out of tune is strings that are old. Even if they're clean, old strings just do not hold tune and they don't intonate properly. So cut them off, you know, spend a $5 and put your new strings on. On the nut side of it, I'm a firm believer in using Big Ben's nut sauce, which is a graphite lubricant that basically allows the string to flow through the nut evenly while tuning and while bending. Because think about it, every time you bend a string, that string is moving through the nut. And when you're not bending and you want just a regular string, it has to go back to the exact same place to create the amount of tension required to hold the pitch. So that's very, very important, because a lot of people go, my guitar doesn't stay in tune. Well, start here, and these little tubes only cost 20 quid. And that's really one of the greatest things you could ever do to your guitar. Don't buy a new guitar, don't buy an old guitar and immediately change the tuners. Assess the situation on the tuners. If they're tight and they work, leave it alone. Don't immediately buy a new Les Paul or whatever and immediately change the pickups. If you like the sound of the guitar now, leave it, because you may not get it back when you've put in every aftermarket brand known to man, unless you want to try the Joe Bonamassa signature Seymour Duncans. Sorry, bad plug. Pots, same thing. Leave it alone. Learn to love and enjoy the guitar, because if you bought it in the first place, it means it's kind of done something for you, and you bond with it as a geek and a guitar really do need to bond. And if something goes wrong, replace it. If not, leave it alone and play it and enjoy it. You want aged, don't take the sandpaper, just play it. You'd be surprised how cool they look if you just play them for a year. And Use them, but not abuse them. Thank you very much. This is Joe Bonamassa, roaming reporter at John Henry's, asking the tough questions. Who killed John Henry?
Here's Darran Charles from Godsticks with 3 brand new S2 Semi-Hollow electrics from PRS.
Hi, I'm Darran from Godsticks, and I've been invited by Guitarist magazine to try out 3 PRS S2 Semi-Hollows. PRS S2 Single Cut, a Mira and a Custom 22. The S-Series is being marketed as a PRS entry-level guitar. The guitar itself is constructed in the US, but most of the hardware parts, the bridge, the pickups, they're all constructed in Korea. When I think of semi-hollow guitars, I usually think 335, so for the backing track I sort of constructed a fusion-esque Larry Carlton piece of music that hopefully would represent what these guitars would sound in that sort of genre of music. I've played the solid body S-Series guitars, both the single cut and the custom. I was interested to see how the semi-hollow construction would affect the tone. On the S2 single cut, I think it's led to a more airy tone. And certainly the chordal work is brighter and more open. The Mira, I don't think that the semi-hollow construction has necessarily benefited the tone, but it's certainly out of the 3 guitars, it's the more, I wouldn't say abrasive, but it's certainly a sharper tone, and it definitely cuts through the mix. The custom is probably the one that's least benefited from the semi-hollow construction, and if there was a choice between the 2, I would definitely go with the solid body version.
Next, here's an exclusive acoustic performance and conversation from American singer-songwriter Chuck Ragan.
Did you ever wander far from home? Far from what is safe and comfortable? Oh, traded all your demons for the moon. Yeah, sleeping till the sun makes it all true. Yeah, well, I don't know how long I've been gone, and I can't say when I'll get home. Keep my engine clean and strong and run that soul where it belongs. I do travel a lot, and we tour very often. We're hard workers. There's a lot of sweat and a lot of banging and a lot of just wear and tear on these things. And the strings are incredibly important in our line of work. I play the Martin Lifespans SPs. Somewhere I can hear a lonesome train, oh, burning in a direction I can't name. Most of the time, the lights on any of the parlors that I play, either this 0028 VS or on the 00017, mostly play the lights, SP Lifespans on the D28 and the D18s and the D15. I'll play the mediums. When I'll get old, I'll keep my engine clean and strong, run this soul where it belongs. Maybe I'm just spinning wheels. You know, for years, anytime I tried any coated strings, I could never adapt to them. They just never felt natural. They never felt right. And it wasn't until I tried the Lifespans for the first time that not only did they finally, it was a coated string, a protected string that finally felt comfortable to me, but it was a string that actually lasted. It held its tone. It held its stability throughout like a rough and tumble set of sweating on them and banging on them, and I just found that I broke less strings, and the tone and feel, it just lasted longer. When most of the times other strings that I've played would go dead, halfway through the set. So it's definitely been a game changer for me. But I came here to wake with you at dawn, with no understanding of any wrong, to lay with you for endless nights, trade the wreckage for the likes, the hazel-eyed, strong-willed, brown-haired girl. So hold tight to break free. Well, you've got all of me if you want it that way. Take me in, I'll be good to you, baby. Do my damnedest to make mistakes but once. I came here to batten down a song, we'll burn pages to the moon until they're gone, and let the wind carry the ashes on. Trade wind somewhere else is all, everything we need to make that dawn. So hold tight to break free. Well, you've got all of me if you want it that way. Take me and I'll be good to you, baby. Do my damnedest to make mistakes but once. Well, yeah, I'll do my damnedest to make mistakes but once.
Hi, this is Chris from Guitarist, and I'm here with a pair of combos from the newly relaunched Supro brand from New York. The 1690T Coronado is a 2x10 amplifier with 6L6 power valves that put out about 35 watts. The 1624T Dual Tone is a 1x12 that puts out 24 watts from 6973 power valves. Both amplifiers share the same control panel layout, with a pair of channels that can be linked for extra gain and tremolo circuits. The first thing that you'll hear is a hands-on comparison of both amplifiers and then a full track, for which we've used a Gibson ES335 and a new Fender Modern Players short scale Telecaster. I hope you enjoy it. Now it's time to head over to GAK in Brighton and find out what's in store.
Hi guys, it's Mark from gak.co.uk, and once again we're here in our Brighton store to see kind of what's hot on the shop floor at the moment. I've got Jay Cross with me, who's one of our guitar guys in store. Jay, what have you got for us this month?
So we were really excited about this. It kind of came out of nowhere. It's the Squier Baritone Jazzmaster in Antigua. They haven't really done very much in the Antigua finish over the last few years. There was a short run of the standard Strats and Tellys. Other than that, I don't think there's been anything at all. So this really came out of the left field. But the thing that we really love about it is it's a proper B2B baritone, long scale, Jazzmaster. Basically, we really like everything about it. And it's just so cool. It sounds brilliant. It feels proper. You know, they haven't sort of skimped on anything, you know, even down to the fact that there's a bound fingerboard. Duncan designed Jazzmaster pickups. Everything about it just feels and looks absolutely killer. And yeah, I'm all about it.
Worth mentioning as well, a kind of like clear gloss lacquer on there, so you know it feels like a much more expensive instrument than it is, I guess. And also a fairly unique bridge on there as well. It's a stop tail piece rather than the trem that you'd normally find on a Jazzmaster.
Yeah, which is good, because I mean, one of the things where the sort of extended range or lower range instruments can suffer is with the bridge. And I think this is just a really good way to sort of, you know, it makes the guitar an accessible price range, but still keeps it at like a really nice spec. So yeah, you're not gonna hear a single complaint out of me from this.
Excellent. Well, Jay's going to plug it in and play a few chords, and we'll give you an idea of how it sounds.
Next, Michael Brown has his hands full with Total Guitar's 90-second review of the RG9 9-string from Ibanez.
When it was first unveiled in prototype form at Winter NAMM 2013, the RG9 caused a fair bit of commotion, provoking delirium and bewilderment in equal measure. We understand the fervour. After all, it has 50% more strings than your average axe. Let's start with those 9 strings. The RG9 comes factory tuned to E, B, G, B, A, E, B, F sharp, C sharp, which almost gives you the range of a 6-string guitar and 5-string bass in one instrument, and invites you to learn a whole new vocabulary of playing. An inspiring palette of tones helps to galvanise your riffs thanks to a clever 5-way pickup switching system. Position 2 activates both pickups' inner coils for glassy shimmer, while position 4 offers a parallel connection of the neck humbucker's coils for sweet lower output tones, perfect for tapping. Not to mention convincing bass tones on the lower strings. While the bridge humbucker has more than enough bite and brightness to cut through huge amounts of dirt. Playing a 9-string takes a bit of practice. You have to carefully position your pick hand to prevent the low C sharp ringing out. While transitioning between bottom end riffs and top string solos can be a struggle at first. But like any extended range guitar, the RG9 requires serious dedication to get the most from it. Put a bit of time in and that 9th string will have you playing gent and modern metal that's heavier and lower than normal. Hi, it's Michael from Guitarist, and we're here with the Korg SDD 3000 pedal, the stompbox incarnation of the celebrated rack mount delay unit. First, we'll show you some examples of what makes this delay unique. We're playing a Fender Deluxe Lone Star Strat into a Vox AC15. The SDD 3000 offers a range of delay types, including analog, tape, and of course the SDD 3000 setting itself. There are a few new types too, like the pitch-shifted Cosmic. You also get preset filter settings to tweak the repeats. As well as a comprehensive modulation section, complete with waveform control. While the output attenuator slider allows you to boost an amp into overdrive too. Here are a few of our favourite tones in the context of a full track.
Hello, it's Mark from gak.co.uk and I'm back again in our Brighton store. I'm here with Matt, who is going to talk through his favourite bit of gear that has come into the shop this month. Matt, what have you got for us?
This is the Tech 21 Sansamp Flyrig 5. And for me, probably the coolest bit of pedal gear that I've had my hands on this year, actually. For me, Tech 21 have always made some of the best effects, some of the best sounding, simplest effects that are kind of just... No matter, you just plug it in, you don't even have to adjust any controls and it just sounds good. And the nice thing about the Flyrig 5 is they thought, well, you know, a lot of the time you might not want to take your whole pedal board around with you, and you just need something, maybe if you're flying a lot, or you're doing a lot of session work, and you just need some simple, quick access to some, you know, easy sounds, then it's all in here. It's all based on units they already produce, but everything comes in one little box. So you've got their Plexi, which is based on a 68 Marshall Plexi, with boost control, gives you 21 dB of pre-gain boost, so that works independently. So you can actually just use that as a clean boost.
Okay.
Then you've got your drive, then you've got your Sansamp. So this is actually like an amp modeler, so you've got full EQ, drive, and their separate reverb pedal in there as well. So the Tech 21 reverb pedal, which is based on a really nice, like, splashy vintage spring. Cool. And then you've got their DLA delay pedal with tap tempo. So not only have you got all of that on there, you've even got tap tempo with a modulation control, and turning the delay time all the way down gives you just the modulation. So you can even use it as a chorus. Because you've got the Sansamp in there, you could in theory go straight into a PA, or you could go straight into a desk as well, because this kind of model's like an amplifier. And it's just totally gig bag friendly, works anywhere in the world, and it just doesn't weigh anything. But it's just an awesome bit of kit to have around. I would just have one just in my gig bag. You know, you never know when you're going to need something like that.
Well, definitely. So there we go. Real small unit, gig bag friendly, plenty of sounds in there will cover you for any gig pretty much. Matt's going to plug it in and give us a full demo of what it all sounds like.
Cool. So this is the clean tone. So if we engage the Plexi setting first. And then we can engage the boost on top of that. So you're adding 21 dB of pre-gain boost on that. Just the Sansamp with the reverb on. And then, for example, we can add the delay on top of that with tap tempo. Then you've got this little drift control here that adds in more modulation. And if you turn the delay time all the way down, you've actually got a chorus on there. And obviously, the ideal thing with this unit is that you can have all three on at once. Plus we've still got the boost to add on there as well, so you can see it's just a really awesome all-in-one little gigging package.
Here's an in-depth look at Richie Kotzen's live rig with the man himself.
Hi, I'm Richie Kotzen, and I'm here in the Camden Underworld in London, and I'm giving you my rig tour for Total Guitar. First off is the guitar that I play. It's my signature model Telecaster, and it's been around for quite some time. The original one came out in Japan in 1996, and now it is available throughout the world. And a couple of unique things on the guitar. First of all, the neck. It's a thicker neck than your average Telecaster. Spent a lot of time getting the dimensions that I wanted for the neck, something that I felt fit my hand, and we settled on this. Large frets, I think they're called 6100s. It's a maple neck, and if you look up here, you'll notice a drop detuner. More common on a bass guitar, but I wanted one on here. And gold hardware. As far as the body, there's a slight contour here that is normally not on a Telecaster. We added that. And on the back, you notice there's comfort cut, more like a Strat type thing. But we put it on the Tele because it just makes it more comfortable to play. And as far as the wood, it's a flame top and a swamp ash back. And the electronics, pretty simple. Bridge, middle, neck. Pickups are made by DiMarzio. So in the neck you have the Twang King. And in the bridge you have the Chopper T. It's a higher output pickup than a standard Telecaster pickup, but it's not nearly as high output as some of the humbuckers that you see in other guitars. So it's somewhere in the middle. Allows me to still get a Telecaster sound when I roll the volume down. When I turn the volume up, it's a little more aggressive than the average Telecaster. The other thing you'll notice on here, tone knob actually is not a tone knob. It's a series parallel switch for the middle position. And so that gives you an extra tonality. And then the other two things that are aftermarket on the guitar, don't come with the guitar, is this disc, this white disc. That is a guitar tuner. So if I flick this switch here, you'll see that light up. And so I can check my tuning. It mutes the output. It's very convenient if I'm in the dressing room or even on stage in between songs. I can check my tuning very quickly. It's very accurate. And that's it. That's my guitar. All right, so for the guitar amp, I'm using, obviously, a Marshall. I use the 100-watt Plexi SLP. That's what I'm using now. Normally, when I'm on my own gear, this is rented gear, I use the Marshall HW, which is a 100-watt Plexi, but it's hand-wired. I don't have that with me here in London, so we rented the Supro lead Plexi. And I like it because it's a very simple amp. It's loud, which is important. And it's very percussive, which is also important for me because I play with my fingers. So I need an amp that responds. If I play hard, I want it to be louder. If I play soft, I want it to be quiet. And this amp does that very, very, very well. And that's why I gravitate towards these. I've run them many different ways. I used to jump the channels and use both master volumes. But lately I'm finding I'm getting a better sound just by plugging into the second channel, the top input, which I believe is a little louder than the bottom input. And I'm running the treble, the middle, and the bass all the way up. Presence is about halfway. And then the volume, it just depends on the room. When I get to the overdrive pedal I'm using, I'll talk about that, but because of that overdrive pedal I'm using, I can actually have this amp relatively low and still get a good aggressive overdrive. Normally, these amps, to get the overdrive, you crank them, which I do in a larger room. But because of the overdrive pedal we designed, I'm able to get the sound I want and not have to drive the amp quite as hard as I used to. As for the speakers, I'm using the 30-watt Celestions. I like them more than the 70-watt because they have a smaller cone, and somehow that changes the sound. I remember years ago I A-B'd cabinets, and I went through the 25-watt speakers, the 30s, and the 70s, and for whatever reason, I preferred the 30s. I don't even remember why, but that's what I always ask for when I don't have my own rig. And that's it for the guitar amp. And so now I'll talk about the pedals I'm using. Years ago, I had this idea to take an overdrive and a delay pedal and put it in one box because I was doing a lot of traveling, a lot of fly dates where I'm in and out. And I didn't want to have to deal with cables. So I made this black box that had 2 switches that controlled the reverb and tremolo on my amp, another 2 switches for the delay, another 2 switches for the overdrive. And all the components were inside one unit, hardwired together, and it was very convenient. So I teamed up with Tech 21, and we found a way to make this in a much more professional and efficient way, more reliable. And it's called the Fly Rig. And this particular Fly Rig is my personal signature model that we spent about 6 months working on to try to get the voicing correct for the distortion. Now if you look at it, you see there's 5 buttons here. I'll deal with the overdrive first. First, the button that I'm pressing now turns the overdrive on and off. So you have the level, tone, and drive control. Tone control works pretty much like the tone control on a guitar, where you're actually removing the treble. So we voiced it so that when it was somewhere around the middle, it sounded like what I wanted it to sound like. So now you have the option to add or subtract treble. It also has a boost function that you can use with the initial stage or without. So that gives you another option. So for example, you can set this to be your aggressive tone. With the volume full out on the guitar, you can do solos. And if you need a little more to push over the edge, you can turn that on. Or you can do the opposite. You can leave this on and boost the amp and set this for a different kind of distortion. So it's a pretty flexible situation. Over here is the delay. The one I'm hitting now turns the delay on and off. And then on the left you have a tap tempo, which I use all the time. You set the tempo of the song once the drum starts, or if I start it, and that way I can have the delay be in time with what I'm playing. If you notice here too, there's also a drift control. If you turn that on, it'll give you a slight chorusing effect. So you can use that at your discretion. And then in the middle, the company Tech 21 invented the Sans amp, so we decided to put a Sans amp in here as an extra option. Even if you don't use the Sans amp and you set it to neutral, it still has a reverb circuit, so you can use this middle switch as a reverb, which I do. Or if you're doing a fly date where you're coming in and you're on an amp that isn't what you normally would play through, the Sans amp can be used to change the voicing of the amp to your liking. So it's a very versatile pedal. And then the final thing we did, this modification will not be on the production model, it's just something we did for mine. We added phantom power. So when you plug in a stereo 1/4-inch cable, you obviously have your audio going through there, but at the same time it's sending DC voltage to the wah. So the wah is seeing power from this. So it really is a simple rig. Now to make that happen, you have to modify the wah and you modify the pedal. But once you do that, you don't need a battery in the wah pedal or an adapter. It sees power from the Fly Rig. And the wah, the last thing I'll talk about, that's a standard Dunlop classic wah. No extra boost or any kind of voicing, potentiometers, straight wah. And that's my rig.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. See you next month for more guitar goodness from the people behind Guitarist, Total Guitar and Guitar Techniques magazines, and MusicRadar.com.